Now, the industry in Kazakhstan is much different. It's growing. It's huge, and you can really like make good living, from acting. But 15 years ago was different. So that's why I went to do something else, which I was also good at, like math, physics, and then you do engineering. And I never read that. I mean, it gave me a lot. But why I wanted to become an actor? It's because I think I wanted to experience different times, different places, and different lives.
Melting Pot, a global podcast series hosted by Payal, connects guests who have inspiring stories and reaches out to a multicultural audience over 52 countries. Guests are diverse, such as celebrities, entrepreneurs, travelers, and many more who've had a turning point in their lives and moved over to a holistic lifestyle. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, social media. Hi, everyone. Today I am in conversation with Daniyar Alshinov. Daniyar is the lead actor of the 33rd Singapore International Film Festival's opening film. And another of his films called Goliath is also going to be showcased at the SGIFF. After studying engineering in the US, Daniyar worked for a bit before he returned to Kazakhstan, and he pursued his dream to be an actor. So thank you so much for joining me today, Daniyar.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a big honor. Thanks.
Great. So let's kickstart this conversation with just a little bit about your background. That's one. And two, what was it that sort of, because I did a lot of research on you and I figured that you always wanted to be an actor. So what is it that made you want to be so keen to be an actor?
It's, I had many times I've been asked why I switched my major from aerospace engineering to acting, but I've never had this question, why would you want to be an actor, But it seems like a very a general and basic question to ask, the first one, and it's a great question if you think about it. I think when now I'm thinking about it, it's maybe reading when I was a kid, like reading books. Probably it all starts with that. Like my mom used to buy me and bring me different books. We used to live in a village, and she used to go to different cities, and whenever she would travel, she would bring some books, some fairy tales from different parts of the world. And then I also loved the literature of Alexander Dumas, the fantasy, the historical, I loved history, And also when you read that, all the time you imagine, you imagine how it was. And I think movies are nowadays the best opportunity for a human being to experience some places you would never ever visit, or the characters. So that was the imagination would send me, far away. And then once I grew older, I realized that I want to be a gladiator. I want to be I remember watching Gladiator for the first time. That's when I realized I want to be an actor for the first time. I was like maybe 13, 14 years old. I was a teenager, not even a teenager yet. But then you hit the reality, like, you want to become an actor after high school, you go to drama school. Really, do you really want to do that? Because do you want to make a living out of acting? And it wasn't really an option back in the days, like 15 years ago. Now, the industry in Kazakhstan is much different. It's growing. It's huge, and you can really make good living, from acting. But 15 years ago was different. So that's why I went to do something else, which I was also good at, like math, physics, and then you do engineering. And I never read that. I mean, it gave me a lot. But Why I wanted to become an actor? It's because I think I wanted to experience different times, different places, and different lives.
I have read again somewhere that you initially started doing comedy. Am I correct? Or is this just the internet as usual? Sometimes you get information which is not really relevant and correct. So if I'm wrong, do correct me.
Well, yeah, it is. It is true. And my first films, like several films, which made me how to say recognizable person. I wouldn't say a star, but people would know me as an actor only from comedies. So they wouldn't even imagine that I would do dramatic performances in independent cinema, for example. So that was the my cliche parts that I was getting in movies, the comedic heroes.
Okay, so when did you actually, which was your first dramatic film?
First, I would say the first lead part in a drama was A Dark Dark Man. It's obviously a turning point in my career, because when I met Adilkhan Yerzhanov, the director of movie Assault and Goliath. Both of the films are presented on the festival. So when I met him, and that was our first film, I think that was really a huge thing for me to develop myself, a huge opportunity to develop myself into a dramatic actor. And the film made it to biggest festivals in the world, and now it's streaming in US and Canada. So, but when we started doing it, it was a tiny independent film with a tiny budget and with a crew of people just wanting to do something new, the police noir genre in Kazakhstan. It was quite an experiment, and it went well, I think.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, clearly did, because you've gone on to do so many other films after that, and successful films as well. So before we talk a little bit about the film which is which is opening the festival, I just wanted to understand from you as an actor, what, how do you prepare yourself for a role?
Well, yeah, you're right. Everyone has its own approach, and that what makes our job interesting. I don't think I have an approach. I don't think I have a method. I just love the idea of not having a method. That's great, to find a new way to get yourself to the best possible performance every new character, each and every time. Try to think of new ways. Sometimes, like for some character, you want to do some classic things, Stanislavski, Chekhov, and try to do something that is like very academy based, and you read that in the books. But sometimes something else, a very simple, like hit in the face, yourself in the face before the take starts, or I don't know, you put stones in your shoes to make yourself angry and frustrated. It's always like that. I mean, I always say that that shooting is like a war, in a way that you need to have different types of weapons, and you can be ready for that. can be ready for the war, because you just need to be sure that you have as many skills and as many weapons as possible to win that fight. And that's how you approach your character. So every time it's different, and I'm always trying to not create an approach like the standard approach. I'm always trying to go the opposite direction, to go from the standard, which might be an approach itself, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I guess every character that you play also has dimensions which you probably have to think about, and therefore if you have a standard method, then it's very repetitive, and it can get for the audience, it can get very predictable. So I think in that sense, you're absolutely right that you need to keep changing your approach based on the character that you're playing. So yeah, no, that's interesting. So what is, you yourself mentioned, I mean, that was going to be one of my questions to you, but you actually mentioned it yourself, that the Kazakh film industry over the past 15 years has developed and it's grown. And so what do you think are the reasons for it, for the industry to have, evolved? That's one. And two, what are some of, for international recognition, what are some of the, I guess, ways in which the Kazakh film industry, the body of the film industry, is trying to have a breakthrough?
I think answering the question why the industry is developing is really complicated. It's complex process, and I don't really know why, but I know it's happening. I know that for sure. I mean, if you compare what was in cinemas 15 years ago, mostly Hollywood and Russian films, and then nowadays it's Hollywood and Kazakh films. We almost have, I would say, 0% of Russian films now, and it was fair competition. The movies they just took their place, and it's just the all around process within the society. It's not only cinema; it's also music. It's also the art. We have so many great musicians in Kazakhstan nowadays, and it's the whole underground movement. And I am not in a position to answer why, and I don't know why. I know it's happening, but the ways to shine in the world, for our cinema. I think the festivals with their independent movies are a great way to show what we have here, what we're doing, and I love that the film festivals are doing. They are giving this platform for new cultures, for new directors, for new genres to shine, and then to inspire other filmmakers around the world. And in that sense, I think Kazakh cinema has something to give to the world. We have a unique culture here in Kazakhstan, always on the crossroads of civilizations. We are the descendants of great Mongols, and then there were many historical events took place here, many nations, and ethnicities melted together. Now we have, this country which also beautiful in terms of scenery, landscapes. We have all the types of nature, which is good for cinema and for shooting. So I think there's a huge potential in Kazakhstan for filmmakers, and I'm pretty sure in 15 more years we will be talking and having this conversation. But I hope we already will have this term, the Kazakh cinema, the way that the Korean cinema and Japanese cinema is now famous in the world. I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. I'm not sure when exactly, but I know that this potential will just won't disappear. It has to go somewhere, because I live here. I know people here. I know what they're doing. I see the momentum and the impulse. So now let's talk in 15 more years.
In a few more years. Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you have two films being showcased at the Singapore International Film Festival in itself goes to show how, you're kind of the film, the cinema, the Kazakh cinema is actually making sort of getting into, as you mentioned, different festivals, and spreading its wings. So which is very, very interesting. So have you done any I don't know if cross-border is the right term to use, but have you sort of had a crossover, rather, is probably a better term to use. Have you done any crossover, whether it's television or cinema, you personally, as an actor?
Crossover, you mean like having the same character in different films, or?
No, crossover meaning with other countries, like other, because I did see somewhere that you did like a limited series. Was it French?
No, I got it. Sorry, I got stuck in the terminology when you say crossover. Now with all the Marvel movies, it's like having the same characters, different characters for different films, one movie. Yes, like this year particularly was a huge year for me personally. I went to Cannes. We went to Venice Film Festival in competition, and I had the premiere of a French series. It's called Infiniti, and it was actually shot in Kazakhstan, partly and partly in Ukraine, but the plot itself takes place in Kazakhstan, the Cosmodrome. So it's a sci-fi kind of thriller, and I have a lead part there with my partner, French actress, an amazing actress, Céline Salet. And the series is now only just being, distributed around the world. So we will probably hear more about it next year.
Okay.
And yes, I'm constantly auditioning for different international projects, and thanks to Kazakh independent cinema, I would say, because there are many filmmakers who travel around the world to the festivals, and they see the movie in Kazakhstan, and I was thinking, oh, this actor interesting, let's try him. And I remember when I went to Cannes, I had a conversation with young French filmmakers, and they said, we have a production company which does only commercials and the music videos, but we're dreaming of creating a film here in France, and we are your fans, and once we get to roll our first, we don't have money yet. So that was so cute, I thought that's it's amazing what cinema does, just bringing people together.
I think it's a language in itself, right? So it does bring people together. Yeah, interesting. So Assault is obviously a film that everyone is waiting to watch at the Singapore International Film Festival. And, I did see the trailer, and it's fascinating. And, I'm sure it will definitely, I can see, have potential for not just being a part of the Singapore International Film Festival, but also going further. So thank you so much. It's unfortunate that the internet has been a bit unstable, but the conversation has clearly not been unstable. So it's just been so wonderful talking to you, Daniyar. The 33rd edition of the Singapore International Film Festival continues to drive a new agenda for change. A fabulous lineup of 101 films from over 50 countries will be screened from the 26th of November until the 4th of December 2022. For more information, visit their website www.sgiff.com. For more weekly conversations, do listen to Melting Pot on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram at Podcast Melting Pot. So until the next episode, this is Payal signing off.